In this video, I'll be sharing with you a tutorial on how to cut this stylish Milkmaid corset top with asymmetric flea. So if this is something you like, kindly hit on the subscribe button. And this dress is from Pamdis Fashion on Instagram. So to start, you have to go ahead to determine your blouse length, that is from your shoulder to where the blouse length will stop. So mine is about 24 inches. Now I'll mark the upper part first, which is my shoulder to waist, and my shoulder to waist is 17 inches. So I marked my shoulder to bust, under bust and waist. After that, I marked my shoulder divided by 2 and I came down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope because your shoulder is not straight. I marked a basic neckline of 3 inches and I went ahead to connect. Now I'm going to find my chest line, which is my bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. After that, I'll make a mark where I have my chest line and draw out a straight line. Now whatever I have on the shoulder, I'll place it back on the chest line and mark. I'll place my ruler and I'm going to connect. After I'm done connecting, I'm going to place what I have there and I will divide it into 2, come out by ½ inch at that point. Now after I'm done marking on the chest line, I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4. Now from that my bust circumference divided by 4, I'll place my curve drill, connect to the armhole and connect to the upper part of my pattern. Now I'm going to go ahead to mark my dart. I'll start by marking my nipple to nipple divided by 2 and I'll mark this all the way to the waistline of my pattern, and I'm going to place my ruler and I'll draw out a straight line. Now after I'm done drawing this out, for your dart intake you can use a basic dart intake or you can go ahead to just use 1 inch on both sides of your pattern, or for a plus size you can use 1.5, or you can use a basic dart intake of ½ inch at the lower part and extend it all the way up. So I'll just go ahead to connect this. From my bust I came down by 1 inch and I'll go ahead to connect this all the way up. But note, when you're cutting your Milkmaid cup, you're not going to go ahead to cut out the dart on the bust area of your pattern. Now after doing this, start inserting the measurements. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4, add my sewing allowance, mark my under bust circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace and add my sewing allowance, mark my waist circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. Right, so after I'm done marking my waist measurement, what I'll do is to go ahead to place my ruler and I'll connect all those lines that I marked. Now after I'm done connecting my pattern all the way to this point, now you now determine where you want your dress to start. I want my 2 inches above my bust, my chest line, because if you notice the cup is well covered, right? Now from the center I'll go in by ½ inch. Now from this ½ inch I'll go ahead to draw my cup. Now I'll connect from this point and then take this ½ inch all the way down, and I will be connecting my cup all the way to the lower part of this pattern. So just like I said, you not cut out your dart at the under bust area. Now I'll take this straight, and from this dart line that I have on this side, I'll mark my nipple to nipple plus ½ If you're plus size, mark your nipple to nipple divided by 2 plus 1 inch and I'll go ahead to connect. So we are almost done with drafting out the front. All I need to do is to go ahead to slash my cup, right? Because this is a Milkmaid cup. Now another thing you need to note, for your sleeve, measure from your shoulder to where you have your Milkmaid cup. So I have about 5 inches, that is for the front, and for the back length or the back sleeve is going to stop at the chest line, and my chest line is about 7 inches. So after I'm done marking this, I'll go ahead to slash my cup. You can slash it as many as you want, and the more spacing you give when you do your slash and spread for your cup, the more fuller your cup area becomes. Now I'll cut out this side and I'm done drafting. So now after I'm done cutting this part of my cup, I'll cut out this side and I'll be merging it together. So I'll use this pattern for the lower part to cut out the full body of the dress. But before doing that, we are going to work on the cup. Now I'll be cutting the cup and I will be placing it back. Now I make sure that I had a straight line here. Now I'll place my first cup here. Now after placing this cup, you can give about 3 inches, 4 inches depending on how full you want your cup to be. Now after marking on that point, I'll go ahead to cut out the next cup, and I'm going to also cut out the other one, which I'll start placing on it. But before placing each cup, I'm going to at least give a certain space. Now this totally depends on you. Just like I said, if you want your cup to be fuller, you can use more. So I'm just using about 2 inches to show you in this video. So after marking the first pattern, second pattern, you give your space and then place your third pattern. Measure the same space. So if you are using 2 inches, you use 2 inches for all of them. If you are using 4 inches, you use 4 inches for all of them. And I'll go ahead to place this way. Now go ahead to measure about 2 inches here, and I'll now place my last cup. Now after placing this, when you're even placing it, make sure that it's on a straight line for that part at the under bust and also going towards the upper part. So I'll just trace out the shape I have all the way down, and we'll be cutting it out. We'll be using this in place of our new cup for the Milkmaid area of our cup. Now while also attaching this to your dress, you will need to add like sewing allowance in some areas. You add ½ inch round your cup this way. Now at the upper part, you add at least 1 inch or 1.5, because you're going to fold it up to add like your loop or your strap that you use and drag the Milkmaid to ruche it back to the original length. Now let's go ahead to work on the back. I got this pattern paper and I marked 1.5 inches in front as the zipper. I'll use the front pattern to cut out the back pattern, and I'll go ahead to trace out what I have at the front, at the back pattern this way. Now after tracing it, I marked my chest line and I'll draw out a straight line. So for the back pattern, it's just going to stop at your chest line and you cut it out. So now I cut out the back as a dartless pattern, but if you want to add that to yours, remember you just mark your nipple to nipple divided by 2, and you're going to mark it like draw a straight line. So for the dart, I'll be marking ½ inch on both sides of my pattern, which I'll go ahead to reconnect all the way up. So since I added a dart, if you're transferring this to your measurement, you will add like that dart that you took out. Now let's work on the flare part of this dress. Now you'll be folding it in a 180-degree flare, which is this way. Now let's get the length of your flare. Just like I said, the full length of the dress I'm cutting is 24 minus my half length, which is 17. So if I minus 17 from my full blouse length, which is 24, I have 7 inches left. Now you need to determine your waistline. So my waist is 28. I'll cut the front separate and cut the back separate. Now that 28, if I divide it into 2, it will give me 14. So since we are cutting it separate, that means we are joining it back. So that 14, I'll add 1 extra inches for it, which joining allowance. So what giving me a total of 15. Now divide that 15 into 2. If I divide the 15, it will give me 7.5. I'll place my curve this way and draw like a semi curve that is about 7.5 inches, right? Now after marking that, I'll place my tape from here to this point, and what I have is 9.1 inches. Now from that point, I'll take that 9.1 inches I have and I'll take it all the way around. So this is the easiest method of cutting out a flare without going ahead to calculate it. Now what I will do is I will now go ahead to join back the line. So this is now the new waistline of the front pattern, right? Now for the front pattern for the flare dress, now what you now do is take the full length of your dress, or rather the flare part. So the flare part is 7 inches. you're going to add extra 1 inch for folding allowance and add ½ inch for joining allowance to the upper part, which will give you about 8.5 inches, which you're going to mark all the way down. And then after you're done marking it, you're going to go ahead to get like a semicircle, and you're going to join up the line forming that semicircle. So after I'm done marking this, I'll go ahead to cut this out. If you have any question, please kindly leave it at the comment section. Now I'll just go ahead to cut this and cut out the lower part of this flay. Now I'll go ahead to cut out the side also, and we are now going to alter it to get that asymmetric shape. So from here you can decide to come up by 3.5 to 4 inches from the center now and take it down. From here you can go ahead to extend it all the way up to the side. So what I have here is about 4 inches. I'll take it to 4.5 and I'll readjust. Now there's always room for readjustment if you are not okay with the asymmetric shape we have here before going ahead to transfer your measurements. So from the side also, I'll come down by 3.5, which is from the waistline of the flay part of this dress. Now just go ahead and cut this out. After cutting it out, I'll go ahead to open it. So you're going to use this to cut the front. After cutting the front, what you now do is place this on another pattern and just add a zipper in front of it to cut out the back of your dress.